Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 481 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Mold, and today we are watching The Last Starfighter, kinda. And I am here today with the finest geeks you're ever going to meet. 3 of them, in fact, and me, just sort of stuck in their wake. I got a Chris DeBona.
Hi, everybody.
I got a Nate Ostendorp.
Right here in River City.
And I got a Rob Roseboom.
That's me.
Guys, The Last Starfighter.
Whoa. I had seen this movie before, and it is not the movie that I remember seeing when I was 8.
Yes, I saw this movie last when I was 11.
Yeah.
I watched this movie on the regular, honestly.
I watched it about 3 or 4 months ago to show my kids. In fact, as the quarantine started, I went through and basically made them watch like 20 movies from the 80s, and none of them they liked. This one's tough. They watched this one. So the thing about this one, we talked about this a little bit with Tron, but I feel like Tron is the movie where the 80s begin. Like, you don't think of Tron as a movie from the 70s. It is the 80s. Like, in its special effects, its style, its acting, a lot of stuff. It feels like the 80s.
Yes.
But
the humor.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
But that movie is the transition. This movie is we're all in now. It is the 80s. We got arcade cabinets, we got neon, we got bad CGI.
I don't know.
Trailer parks.
For the time, it's pretty good CGI.
Is it though?
Yeah, yes.
Oh.
I think this is head and shoulders better than Tron.
True.
To be honest with you, as far as special effects go.
I agree with you in principle, but the fundamental difference is that Tron has the advantage of the characters are transported to a magical world when it shows its computer graphics. In this, it's just a guy in space.
It's trying to make Star Wars special effects with CGI.
Yeah.
Right. And it turns out at this time, practical effects were better.
Yeah.
So.
And for quite a while.
It's funny if you. I went through this period where I was obsessed with SIGGRAPH, the special interest group.
For sure.
In the ACM, and like so many key scenes were like, look what we can do.
Yeah.
Look what we can do now, and they were presented at the yearly conference. I mean, this is a touch point in computer graphics.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you're drawing the line, the historical line, you basically are going from Ed Catmull animating his hand, ... Tron ... this. There's a few other things, but until you get to Jurassic Park or Terminator 2 or The Abyss, like these are
Toy Story. Yeah.
Toy Story, yeah, but 1995 Toy Story, but really Jurassic Park is the milestone, right? Where you can show a CG thing and most people will look at it and not think it's a CG thing. That's probably the first time that happens, right?
First movie I can remember, for sure.
Okay, so I do have one question here. This isn't Earth, right?
Correct.
I think it's not. I think it's
Rylos or whatever.
Rylos.
Okay.
Also, this theme.
Yeah.
You got to talk about the theme music. It is like
lamentably bad.
Yeah.
Well, and like such an obviously like cut up of the Star Wars opening theme.
Right. It's like someone wants to have the Star Wars theme but not be sued.
Yep.
It's like
of course, in that somebody said, "Well, there were horns, right? There were some horns."
Yep.
Like the brass section was going crazy, and it was like, so do that. Yeah, it was probably Robert Preston actually, because it sounds like, hey, it's just like in River City, But yeah, so.
Yeah, the music is not this movie's strong suit. But then, to be fair, also this movie's strong suit is not its computer graphics, its story, its acting. This is definitely a movie where the sum is greater than the whole, but the parts aren't very good for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I should point out that this was done by Workaday composer Craig Safin, okay, who also worked on Cheers.
Well, this is a Laura
No,
Mar
it's a
production,
song.
right? So didn't they do like
Yeah.
all the sitcoms in the 80s?
Yeah, and he did a lot of TV series. He did a lot of really weak movies.
I believe
So
the
I think
script.
he's just the guy you go to when you can afford him.
I believe the script was written by the same gentleman who went on to later write Theodore Rex. And
Oh,
if you
wow.
ever want to see one of the worst movies ever made, I highly recommend Theodore Rex. For tonight's drinking game, I am going to start a little early, but I'm going to try to be drinking anytime somebody who looks kind of like Lobot shows up on TV.
Also directed by Nick Castle, who was Mike Myers in the Halloween movies. So it's got a John Carpenter connection.
Well,
That's
wasn't this also written by... There's a connection to Escape from New York, too.
Yeah,
Well-
he wrote and directed this, and he co-wrote Escape to New York.
Yay!
You know, so I'm looking at his other writing credits, and so so last night I tried to get my son to watch this with me. He's like, "Oh, we've seen that before." He's like, "Let's watch the other movie that I wanted him to watch, which was the Manhattan Project, which is another '80s movie, which was out the same summer as My Science Project, which is terrible, and is written by the same person who wrote this thing."
Is it just me, or is that planet supposed to be a yin-yang?
Ah,
I
yeah,
don't
it looks
know,
very
totally.
yin yang-ish.
Yeah,
I think they just got a round styrofoam ball and painted it.
that could also be. Sometimes that just happens. I am a little surprised that it took 4 minutes for us to get to, like, really a note about this. My other sort of just general comment here is that while this is meant to be like a low-income sort of place, it doesn't seem bad. Like, the
No,
people...
everyone's like friends.
Yeah, like,
Well-
I don't know that you see in a modern movie, like, the low-income housing portrayed as actually a pretty friendly place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got
and-
they're nice to each other.
In fact, my note about this is that this was clearly written by someone who had never actually lived in a mobile home park. Having grown up in one and have relatives who grew up in a mobile home park, I can assure you that, most of the happiness comes from intoxicants rather than a sense of optimism like these people. So, yeah.
Fine, dear. Now you just run along. Bye.
Okay, so all I was gonna say is two things. One, this is Catherine Mary Stewart from Night of the Comet. She is sort of the quintessential, 80s movie kind of brunette that they would go to. She's just great. I adore her. And there's this whole talk while all this is going on about the electric system going out in someone's mobile home. And
She
I'm
needs the
like,
soaps.
she needs her soaps and a proper electrician. You don't want, these old mobile homes, the wiring was not good, so I don't think that Alex should be messing around.
I
with
mean, for
something that
sure,
he
this
clearly
whole place
doesn't
is a
understand.
fire hazard. Their
Oh,
neon
honestly.
sign doesn't even work right.
Right? And it's got like missing bulbs on the bulbs that surround it.
It ain't good, man.
It's not good. Lewis.
Starfighter, you have been recruited by the Star League.
My note on this time is that you can tell by the way he's rubbing his wrist that like the dude's got some carpal tunnel going
Yep.
already.
Yep.
Like way too young to be rubbing your wrist between games, man.
Yeah.
You gotta do some stretching.
Well, this was
Also-
before RSI was really a thing. So I think what he was doing was the 80s exercise of isometrics.
Mm.
Awesome audio on this game. Also, that cabinet has to be the most expensive thing in this whole
Yeah, it's that, yeah.
So the most valuable item within a mile is that video game right there.
And
For
the cat's
sure.
just sitting on it.
For sure. I also find it highly unlikely that a game in the early 80s would have that much audio. Like, normally you get, like, attack run, like something like that, but that was like 2 sentences, right? Like join the Star League, da 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 da. That's a lot of sampled audio. That fills up like the entire 64K ROM chip.
Yeah, it's plot consistent that it's a little bit of advanced.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now they never really released this game, right? This isn't. It's not like Tron that had like a couple of parallel games that came out in time. But this movie came out kind of after the Atari. This movie came out after the Atari implosion. And there were a few Starfighter games, but I don't think that they were particularly well tied in to the actual release of the movie. And I don't know that there ever was an arcade cabinet.
So it looks like there was an homage one made in 2015. So that's good.
This is another one of those movies that rumors of a sequel in the works or a redo. Every couple of years, supposedly Spielberg has had some interest in redoing this movie or making a sequel.
Wait a second. So there are web pages in the arcademuseum.com. Last Starfighter was produced by Atari Games in 1984. Atari Games released 86 different machines in our database, some of those trade names starting in 1984. So maybe there's floating around. It looks like a DVD game, So.
And there was a game like released in '89, and there was apparently like a game developed for this movie that was then later reskinned and released on like the Nintendo. But yeah, the other note about the carpal tunnel, there's another shot where then I don't know if anybody put the pause on that, but there's a shot where he's sitting with the gal on the bench, and the whole time he's just tapping his thumb, just like tap, 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 like he's just sitting there wiggling his thumb. And it actually reminded me because Nate, you weren't on, but we were talking about strategies for defeating Tetris. And there was an article on the Taco Zone about one of the strategies for defeating Tetris now. There's a new thing that there's like the advanced strategy is like a hyper tapping where you have to like basically tap the button like crazy fast at a very certain rhythm in order to do things. And maybe he was just in training for that.
Maybe.
Unlikely.
Oh, so here I really felt for Alex because I too spent hours in my room as a teenager dreaming of launching myself into the sun. So I really felt his pain here.
It's the only way.
I thought this was their attempt at doing the Twin Suns and Tatooine scene, Like he's sitting there going, God, if I could just get out of this damn mobile home park, and stop with that Aunt Beru nonsense.
It is totally supposed to be a Luke Skywalker thing.
For sure. I mean, this is the hero's journey, and you thought Star Wars distilled it down to its bare bones. You just wait. We can take even more off.
Defend the frontier against Zor.
You and I had the same note for this, Rob. If you look at the graphics, you've got shading.
Yep.
You've got different, a non-standard terminal font.
Yep.
You've got
parallax scrolling.
Parallax scrolling. You've got like at least like more than 16 colors, somewhere approaching 256.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I have a note about this later too, but the font that they use for this, and then later on in the record, when he actually scores his record, like no video game in 1984 has a font like this, because this is I don't know, 3x the resolution of a video game, of a video cabinet in 1984. This is in order to display like the angle on the R in the word frontier. Like that's more pixels than monitors have back then. There's a reason that all of our fonts were like 8x8 and 4x8 pixels back then.
Mm-hmm.
That always
I don't
bugged
know.
me.
I mean, I'm trying to remember what Star Wars, the Star Wars cabinet game did.
They were
that was a
vector
vector
graphics.
game. Yeah, so what they probably had what could have been a nice, font.
But I don't buy that this is a vector-based video game. Full color vector graphics, Chris.
Yeah. No, this is clearly rastered. But
Let's really
I'm not
critique
trying to
the important
challenge
things.
all right, let's keep going.
Hold on, I gotta figure out how to make my window a different size so I can fit it in.
Oh no!
I know, this is
He's gonna
pretty
mess with
complicated.
the windows, everybody. Hey, hold on.
Run!
Yeah.
Run! All right, 1329.
Yeah, so I know this is a movie about aliens and spaceships and whatnot, but for me, the most unbelievable part of this movie is that everyone gives a shit that he's going to get the high score in this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure this is the apex of his entire life. Like this is,
Certainly.
you
It's
know,
all downhill from here.
Yeah.
it's all downhill after
I mean, if
you
he hadn't become
broke the high
Buster.
score.
If you were, let's say it's 1988, and you're hanging out at I don't know, the Player's Palace or Aladdin's Castle, and you're in front of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cabinet, and you're fighting Krang, you got people behind you watching. Now, maybe
absolutely-
not Grandma.
You absolutely do, but that's at the arcade. This
People
is
aren't leaving their homes.
They're not putting on pants to go see
There's-
this.
Yeah.
There's cheap domestic beer and wine to drink. there's a high school football game to listen to on the radio.
Three's Company is about to start.
He's definitely got
There's a
Michelob
candle
Light.
with a spoon over it that's gonna solidify if they come and see what you're up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it for poor Alex in real world situations. And again, the graphics here, so far beyond.
I'm picturing somebody like they put down their blunt or their pipe, and catching on fire, while they're looking at the video game. Hey, what are we tripping out on, y'all? Record breaker.
Again, no possible way that any computer displays that font that nicely in an animated form or whatever in 1984. That's just not happening. That's a slide.
There's spaceships in this too, right?
What?
Wait, what?
What movie did you watch?
Oh, Starfighter.
Oh, that makes sense.
Starfighter. No trespass. Keep out.
This is some buggy haptic feedback here at 1912. Hit play once. Yeah, like they need to fix that. They're really like, that's going to cause some damage.
I think I can see the shadow of the guy going.
Of the
Shake
guy
it harder,
in the
Steve!
arcade cabinet, like moving back and
No,
forth.
they actually got Kenny Baker. He's
right?
inside of the container shaking.
Oh.
All right, I got a Costanza out. All right, let's see. That joke made me way happier than it should
Such a
have.
good one.
And we haven't seen a single lobot. Well, now it's time for things to get a little different.
Yep.
Get in the car, kid.
Hello? Excuse me, son. Door's closed, mister.
I gotta tell you, man, if a dude shows up in a DeLorean, the gull wing door pops open, and he's like, "Excuse me, son, if my kids ever encounter that, I have very clear standing orders that you run. You don't get in that guy's car."
I was just going to say it was a good thing 11-year-old me didn't get the high score in this, because then Satari would be spending all day asking people if they knew where he could find ass.
The Star Car was made by the same people who made the Spinners, and some of the other cars on television.
That I will say, the prop car does not look good.
No.
Oh no!
Yeah,
It's
like they clearly wanted a
unfortunate.
DeLorean, and they did not spend enough money to make it look like a DeLorean. Okay, this is our first shot of Robert Preston, and it is clear he is really just reprising his role as Professor Harold Hill. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
Monorail.
you know,
Monorail.
there,
Monorail.
yeah, there's just lots of places where he goes on a little blurb, and he's doing
selling
his
it.
Music Man thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, every time he's on screen, the rest of the world might as well not even exist. He's like, and here the hell I am. And, just like
Yep.
sucks the whole
Guys, are
movie.
you ready for my confession? I
You've never
realized
seen the
that
Music
I
Man?
don't think I've seen segments from The Music Man, but I do not believe I have ever seen it start to finish. And I feel I really probably should, if only for the monorail episode of The Simpsons to actually make sense.
Monorail. That's really kind of a Shelbyville idea.
That does sound like a Shelbyville kind of idea. Take my penknife, my good man. All right, let's see.
Yeah. So you should see The Music Man once, and that's really all you need.
That seems like about the right number of times to see most old school musicals.
That was like one of the 4 tapes that we had when we first got our VCR, and so I've seen it. Oh man!
What were the
Like-
other 3? Sound of Music and like 2 others?
Yeah, probably Sound of Music. Some taped
So-
Voltron episodes.
So my note here is that, you should never take a ride with someone who refers to himself in the third person.
Yep.
Yeah, if you just meet someone for the first time and they're constantly referring to themselves by their name, you gotta
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
out.
It's true.
Yeah.
Stop the
It's,
Uber.
it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to say about this is that Men in Black totally stole this scene from the movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. The tunnel conversion thing. Yeah.
But the tires getting slooped into their little sockets, they very much pulled from The Spy Who Loved Me scene where the Turbo Spree becomes the sub, and so yeah. I don't know if you don't have to show it. I mean, we all know what it is.
Yeah.
Besides, I just love surprises, don't you?
That actually would be a pretty good sample just to use in a song. I just love surprises, don't you?
That's Robert Preston. Everything he says is
Gold.
Is with a smile. He's selling it. He's singing it. How you doing?
Oh man, but then the car. I do like how the wheels go in. I like that a
Right?
lot.
It's so Spy Who Loved Me though.
Yeah.
$250,000 polygons per frame. Wow.
yeah. So the notes on Wikipedia said this was rendered using a Cray computer. Was like it was something like 2,500 by 3,500 pixels and
Yeah.
250,000 polygons per frame, and that was like at the time way north of what the previous ones were.
Well, and more so than that, even when they got around to rendering Toy Story and all that for the original, they weren't rendering anywhere near that resolution. They were rendering at not even 1080p ish resolution for the first several Pixar movies. When they re-released them in 3D, they actually had to boot them back up and re-render them. And unsurprisingly, they were able to render them somewhat faster.
Well, and I think they said there was about 25 minutes of CG in this movie,
Yeah.
and there are just a lot fewer entities, right? It may be at high resolution, but you're not spending that on the half of the screen that's stars.
Yeah.
This was Robert Preston's last movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one other credit after this, but I think it was filmed before this.
I mean, he
Yeah.
does die, so.
That's true.
Kinda.
Sort of. Oh, this is you, Nate. Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, this reveal here where we see that
It's coming.
the aliens are, yes, attractive female bald people.
Lobots.
Well, it's funny, and she goes, "Guitar, guitar, guitar," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Frankie, say relax, guitar," But no.
So yeah, I like it. I like a woman with a bit of dome. That's
Imagine how popular Bozo would be in space.
Oh man,
Bozo would be their
pulling like
deity.
crazy.
I like that he's kind of a shyster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally. And the completely unconvincing alien dialogue in this scene where they're talking together, like they clearly were just like, well, we're not going to invest any time in actually making a real alien language. Just make some noises with your mouth.
You
Have
don't
heard
go and
Statman's
hire.
Brothers?
Yep.
You don't hire that guy who like invents Dothraki. It's like, I've composed the entire grammar. It's this 600-page volume, and I've taught all the actors.
Movies are much simpler back in the 80s.
It's true.
Easier, cheaper.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's happening, guys. There it is.
Yeah.
So gross.
Got to stick him back in. He's not done yet.
I want to see. I want to see the pulse. See if I can get the whole pulse, because that's actually a good effect.
Yeah, right?
And in terms of things that I remembered of this movie before I rewatched it, I remember being terrified of that.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
for sure. It was gross, dude. It was super gross. And what's funny is, you know how Lewis is reading a Playboy? Turns out the 1983 Playboy centerfold was indeed named Yolan. So they did their research where it counted.
Right. Let's not develop an original language. We're not Tolkien, but let's get the centerfold
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get the magazines right. It's like
It's that attention to detail that I like. That I respect.
yes, so gross though. Come on, keep
It
going,
works. Everything
dude. I
about
don't
the
wanna watch
simuloid
it.
worked.
All right, good. All right, cool.
Oh crap! This is double lobot.
Do you have to drink every time? Is that your Lobot drink?
Yeah, I'm drinking whenever I see a lobot, and those are clearly both lobots.
So so the thing is, if you watch a lot of bad TV science fiction, you see some of these masks in like other shows.
Totally. This looks
You're
like
hey, that was in Star Trek.
Yep.
Hey, that was in, Yeah.
it's also that every alien we've seen to this point basically looks like a human. Like yeah, they may have balding or something like that,
Yeah.
but now all of a sudden the recruits are all like
All
Moss
humanoid.
Eisley. It's.
All humanoids.
Mhm.
Do y'all know if Brian Aker is still cutting his hair like that? I don't mean that. I'm not trying to tease him. I mean, he had the whole,
Yeah.
very specific, bald haircut thing.
He had a plan for sure. I'm not sure if I
He
put
had a
an.
plan.
I'm not sure if I put a note in it, but the alien on the second one from the right, actually is it? Oh, it's sorry, Geeks in Space viewers. It's cropped. That thing looks like genitalia to me, and I'm a little weirded out by it. I won't lie.
Well, I
Wow,
have to say there's probably 3 or that would qualify.
The second one to the right looks like genitalia to you?
It looks like some sort of.
I would see a doctor or something. You think that looks like genitalia? I don't know what
Jenna Taylor? Who's Jenna Taylor?
She's really nice. Okay.
Oh, okay.
She does my laundry sometimes, and she cleans. She cares about my feelings, okay? Let's see. I think there's a close-up of that mask at a different shot, so maybe we'll get it. There we go, this guy.
It kind of looks like Bernie Sanders.
I mean, this mask is rough.
The burn bug.
The Kodans, they're the 1%. The 1%, they're trying to bring down the frontier. The Kodans, you have to fight the Kodan.
I mean, they have a whole armada. I have a rule about armadas.
Everyone else. The 1% have an armada.
It's true.
It was really fun when Bernie Sanders was on the world stage because every once in a while you just get a rant, you know.
So this is when I realized they never really explained what the Coden did. So this movie is just, at its core, about a galactic gated community trying to keep out riffraff,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
we know
these
they're
are
at war.
these are security guards, basically.
Right.
They're mall cops.
We know
Yeah.
they're at war, but we have no idea what it's about or anything. They're just like, no, we got to keep the frontier up so those people can't get in.
Will you just get back on your Segway and keep them out of the frontier?
It's a whole room of Paul Blarts.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not wrong, Mr. Rob.
Mr. Rob.
Ooh.
Oh, stop. You might recognize some of these instruments behind him. The lights on over his right shoulder are from Escape from New York, and so is one here. And then they have the thing that's the neon bulbs between two things coming up. So there's some like central casting gadgetry going on here. And it's the same patterns from
Yeah.
Escape from New York. That's what kills me. I'm like, they programmed this once and you're gonna like it.
Yep.
Well, since it's the same guy, I'm sure it was just in storage, right? They're like, all right, what props can we reuse?
My note is actually on the audio clip, so if you can go back to 3305 and just listen to the voice coming out of the computer here.
Let me crank the volume a little. Oh, I'm actually at max.
Now, Starfighter, if you will reach underneath your seats, you will find a package which contains
It contains a prophylactic.
Yeah, one prophylactic, one handgun. Shit. Yeah, well, I have a pretty good weekend in Vegas with all this stuff.
Wow. Keep going. How far can you carry it?
You can take it all the way.
You gonna ride that torpedo, ride that missile right
All
down?
the way down. Right into the frontier.
No, I heard that and I'm like, oh, nice. Yep, that's the Doctor Strangelove emergency kit. Here we go.
Robert Preston, man.
So I just want to point out now that we have watched like 10 movies,
How many
and
movies
3 of them
ahead?
have featured a giant blue head. I mean, I know the Emperor was cool, but did every movie in the 80s just have a giant blue head?
So we had Time Bandits, this one.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of
Jor-El.
who else?
Superman.
Oh, Superman was so bad. I'd pushed it out of my head, man.
Yep. There's the Emperor. The MCP is a giant face.
Right?
There's a lot of movies with a giant holographic blue face.
I wonder if he's going to demand any macaroni pictures. You know?
It's possible.
I demand macaroni pictures and bring down the frontier. Oh, this is just a very
There's spies getting executed. Oh man.
Oh.
Oh, that looks terrible.
He likes it. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Check that out.
We can check that shit out.
That
happened to
alien
you?
brain torture where the lights coming out of his head.
Yeah,
What happened to you, buddy?
all day.
Every day.
So the force shield feels to me like it's totally was ripped off in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the tiny little spaceship wall.
Okay, here's the thing. I did the math.
All right.
All right. So the frontier. If you look up you're defending the Star League, which is a number of star systems. So I figured, okay, call it 50 light years, right? 50 light years worth of star systems. Okay, so 25 light years in a radius, so you can get the area of the sphere around it, right? So they look like they're about, I don't know, call it 5 kilometers apart, 10 kilometers apart.
Sure.
So they would need 15.3 trillion stations to emit the frontier. You're telling me they're worried about a bunch of guys on the other side of it? They have that kind of industrial might, and they're worried about, oh, there's a little hole.
Yeah, there's like a 10-mile gap.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. That's all it takes.
Well, that's why the only way that you can really solve this is to infiltrate Atari.
Well, it's so weird because there's a shield, and they have to cut a hole in the shield and go through the shield. But it's like, if they have the industrial might to build the frontier, do you think they're worried at all about some shrimpy guys who maybe found a way through it? They probably got like an absurdo ray, a giga laser pointed at you. Know?
So
it's like,
this guy might actually be the most or the most robot of them all, most lobot. But more so, I can't stop thinking that he's leader Deathlock from Star Blazers. Like every time he's talking, I was like, he's leader Deathlock.
Oh, this guy's way worse than Deathlock. I actually hated this guy as a kid too.
yeah, I hate him too. He's a sneering.
Yeah, I can never understand why Krill just doesn't off him.
I thought Commander Krill really looks like a kind of like knockoff Dragon Ball Z villain. Like he's got the single eyeglass visor thing. See if you can find a Commander Krill still here.
Oh, there's one coming at the end for sure.
Yeah.
But like, no, Krill. I mean, I hate to say it. It's like, how did you get in this position, Krill? You're clearly the Yamamoto to his Emperor Hirohito.
It's the Peter principle.
Come on.
Oh, we lost one.
Do we lose Robert?
We lost Robert. It's all right. He'll just...
I'll pretend to be him. Maybe he'll be back in a second.
There's a pretty good chance.
For sure.
I will say that now we're kind of getting into the part of the movie where there's a lot more of the special effects. And the more shots of them in a row you get, I think the worse they kind of feel.
Well, I mean, we're looking at it with our modern eyes.
Oh, for sure.
We're kids. This is incredible.
But again, this goes back to what I was trying to say about Tron, because Tron exists in a virtual reality world. It plays to the nature of the effect, right? Like it's okay. This just ages badly. In fact, it feels like, hello again, Rob. It feels like this is like the first movie to have like badly aging CGI, for my money anyway.
Couldn't disagree more. I think that movie was Tron.
So yeah, he's got to come home, make his peace with everything, find out why he cares.
Into his room, which is oddly large for a single wide trailer.
Right. You don't fit a 35 millimeter camera in a real trailer park home bedroom.
Meets his beta, who's like a cooler version of him.
Yeah, he's like the better Alex.
Also, though, oddly named, especially for these times. You would never have something called the beta.
Yeah.
No.
Every time he said beta, I heard like those weirdos going, "Beta soy boys."
Whoa.
And he's like, and I can't fight. And I'm like, what is going on here? So he says they should let simuloids fight. They're clearly programmed to be disposable.
For sure.
That said, I really love that scene where they're talking to each other. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a good scene and well done. And again, as a kid, when you're watching that's neat. That's convincing.
It's super cool. And let's be clear, the beta steps up. So it's like, what was this about not being able to fight? They should have these guys in doing Death Blossom across the frontier. They should send them outside the frontier to go deliver justice and their industrial might. I mean, come on.
I gotta admit, I don't get why this happens at all.
Otherwise, you wouldn't know he's an alien?
It's just like the video game has a secret decloaking capability.
So yeah, what is it? He's a bad guy. The alien knows it's a bad guy. I mean, sometimes you just program your arcade machine to detect a bad guy. They really stretched that effect out.
And then, yeah. So
Also,
again,
just-
some
Let me point out, from a biological standpoint, how horrible having eyes like that would be for your aim.
totally like
You know.
if you. And you gotta wonder what food stuff would make your jaw and mouth form like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like a piranha meets a fish thing.
Hammerhead shark.
But his eyes are pointed the wrong way, you know.
But he's stirred in a little bit with Chunk from Goonies.
yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he's got some chunk going on, right? I wonder if he's played by Matusak. The way that
You mean
Matusak.
sloth.
Sloth, there you go.
Sorry,
Not Chunk.
Sloth.
I was confusing. I really was just hoping that somebody would volunteer to do the truffle shuffle.
Gotta do the truffle shuffle. We're body positive on Geeks in Space, you know.
I think that the truffle shuffle was body positive, but what do I know?
Yeah, I'm thinking you don't know much.
Oh, that's probably fair.
So this is the part of the movie where I realized how important Alex was to everybody, because evidently everyone in the universe is a horrible shot, including the best assassins. I mean, no one can hit anything. No one's trying to take cover.
Oh.
And my line for this was, "You must disarm."
Oh.
Well, the thing that killed me, I'm like, they have a spaceship that they came down in, because we see it later. It's like, why didn't they just kill everybody in the trailer park, right? I mean,
Would have made sense. Like, you know, they are disrupting the whatever 40 trillion node space shield. You'd think they could destroy a trailer park.
I mean, that place does have like a really good electrical system, so maybe that's like integrated into their defenses.
it would have made
Does
much more
protect it.
sense just to put the shields around the planets, you know, and just have like. It's so disappointing. It's like, well, like the tactical decisions they made for their resources.
So you have to assume that they have some sort of like advanced nanotechnology at this point, right? So they can just harvest whole planets and like it's no problem. You want an extra trillion things, whatever, just go take that star system. That's probably what got them into this mess in the first place.
0.3 trillion star stations consuming and producing an energy
Well,
field, right?
Maybe they just use the frontier like, you know, people use their credit cards in the 90s. You know what I mean? Maybe all of the resources are in the frontier, and now they're like, damn, I hope that shit works. Because
if it
we
breaks,
got nothing.
well,
We got nothing.
I'm just barely making the minimum payments on that frontier.
Yeah.
Well, really, it's very French circa World War II, right? It's like their Maginot Line. They put all their crap into it, and then the Germans were like, "We're just gonna go over there."
Belgium. Yep.
Yeah, we're just gonna go through Belgium. You know. Okay, I really wanted to see someone like step on it the way Vader stepped on Obi-Wan Kenobi
Obi-Wan.
in the first Star Wars.
What?
So,
What? It disappeared.
yeah.
I've never seen this magic before, despite the fact that it had clearly happened several times to me in the prequels. It's almost like Lucas is a hack. Okay, 55. It hurts me to say that kind of thing, you know.
Okay, so he took a bullet
Mm-hmm.
and he died. And literally, even in death, he takes the whole movie into his body,
Always
you
be
know?
selling.
And I loved Greg. I got to tell you, Greg is, it's a terrible mask, whatever, but
That's my problem.
man, this guy, he could act through his eyeballs and nose slits better than like the rest of the cast, absent Robert Preston. Robert Preston had to die to allow Greg to live.
Right, no, he scales many acting challenges.
Yeah.
Dad joke, plus
Come on,
7.
Comes out of his shell.
Scales.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
mask would be one of the better things on Star Trek The Next Generation.
For
Right.
sure.
You know, it's not terrible.
See, I
think
can't
that-
stand this mask.
I think that I think they use the same style of mask for Enemy Mine for Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah,
too.
I was gonna say it looks a lot like that.
It's very Louis Gossett Jr.
I have a really hard time with this
It's
character.
a fantastic movie.
But also, like, there are points where his performance is completely different. Like, there's, like, a lot of times he's serious, and then other times he's, like, really hijinksy. There's a couple of takes, like, towards the end. I don't think I time-coded them, but there's some shots of him that are just, like, really, like, that's slapsticky.
Yeah, but you know what? It was in the script, so he's going to act it.
On the page.
It's all on the screen. Left nothing behind. Because he's a professional.
So I just like that he took his head off.
I love this cut. Yeah, the scene right here.
And then he does the thing where he goes, "Oh my goodness!" But like, it's very showy.
Alex, what the hell's going on?
Louis, you're having a terrible nightmare. Go back to sleep.
That's a great sequence.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It is really great.
All right, we're jumping forward, guys.
You can just skip mine. I was time
Going
coded.
to 104. Oh, you did. We already talked Grig.
Yeah, I love Greg, man. Greg's the best.
So now we really get to the first of the big battle sequences.
Which is we're in the money shop now. What you came for.
Fun and games.
You went to go see a movie called The Last Starfighter. There better be some goldarn starfighting.
Look, there's some
An hour.
starfighting going on.
Took an hour, but we finally got some star fighting.
Yep. And
The
it,
nozzle design on these ship engines, though,
Yeah.
very lamentable.
there's a lot of questionable design decisions.
It's really true.
I mean, they're not wearing hats made out of cardboard and fabric.
That is
So-
a bicycle tire around his neck.
I do like these outfits. Reminded me a lot. They reminded me a lot of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, the 1970s one.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And it has I mean, throughout this, and we didn't mention this when they're on the base, but the set very much looks old school in terms of sci-fi. The Star Wars ethos or whatever, you always hear Star Wars referred to as the lived-in universe or a well-worn universe. This is not. They didn't get that memo. They were just like, no, this just is going to look fine. It's
This
just
was
great.
Forbidden Planet level.
Yeah, for sure.
Set design. Yeah.
Forbidden Planet set design, but with the Mos Eisley Cantina level monsters living in it.
Yeah. I like the Forbidden Planet. That was good.
That's a great movie. I also enjoy the MST of that, right? Didn't they do that one?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they did. I didn't see that.
Yep.
This is such a hard scene to watch. Okay. Here we go. So, God, let's see.
I live below ground. With my wife-boyd. 6,000 little griglings.
I did like that.
I like these pictures. They're fantastic.
Look at my vacation slides.
My whiteboard.
Was that last one like clearly photoshopped? Like, look at that. That's clearly photoshopped.
We could
it's like
not
stamped
convince a
on.
woman to actually wear the mask.
I think it's just him.
Cropped his
actually
face
Greg.
right on it.
I think
It's going.
I think that all of those pictures are probably just Grig, and this whole thing is just like a fantasy life that he's documented
There's some early trans cinema here that got undetected. The whiteboard is fictional.
Yeah.
That is just his alter ego.
Yeah, well, I sort of expected like a shrunken down version of him as a Grigling, you know. It's
Oh.
yeah, I just wrote down 6,000 children. I mean, they must have a population problem, and no wonder he enlisted. He doesn't want to take care of all the kids. He's like,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm going to Starlink.
Bedtime.
I'm out.
Bedtime is hell.
He's
Oh,
a
can you
deadbeat
imagine?
Grig,
I'm barely keeping up with 2, you know.
for sure.
Well, if you have 6,000, I mean. You
I
just
mean,
let math raise your kids, right? You don't
right after the first 2000, they just sort of raised themselves.
Right,
You're looking for the right temperature and ecosystem.
right. That's it. Hey, you had access to water. You're on your own. I
Yeah.
did my job.
What do you mean your siblings died? So that means you have dinner. Sorry.
I'm kind of new at these gland games.
Gland games.
About?
Ah,
It's like you're a million miles away, Alex.
She's
The thing
disgusted by
about
him.
Catherine Mary Stewart, she's trying to sell that she likes this guy, but she's like, what are these lines?
Yeah.
This is not how people talk. You know, she's like, I got to be in all these 80s movies. It's the 80s, you know?
This is her career.
Yeah. And then she's sort of like,
Oh,
go
shit.
kill him, you know? So, yeah.
Lobot.
Krill.
The last Starfighter.
Last Starfighter is dead.
He's dead.
Nothing can stop us now. Head full.
Also, as a kid, I loved that staff.
No, that
Yeah,
scepter
right?
is very metal, and he never lets go of it. Like that
It's fantastic.
doesn't do anything, but he's got it in his hand just in case.
Well, it shoots that blade out of the top, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
right?
yeah,
It was so cool. Wait, before you go forward.
Yep.
Go forward. I'm going to talk. So the last Starfighter, you know, and then he blew up the ship. But do you know who blew up that ship? That beta unit who wasn't supposed to fight, right? So I think simuloids, those beta units, they're the heart and soul of this empire, and we should recognize that and get them inside some damn starfighters.
Finally,
They should be doing the death boss.
over
Finally-
9,000.
finally, we get rid of Space Joffrey, and Commander Krill can take over.
Yep. Been waiting for this.
The real power behind the throne.
All guns, fire!
With his Google Glass.
That's right. They don't let him into movie theaters.
There it is. The turn.
Man,
There it is, the thermal exhaust port.
I'll just do the thing from that other movie.
Oh, wrong movie. Wrong
My
little
senses. Alert
thing
my
that I need to
comms.
shoot.
Communication turret is destroyed.
Communication turret is destroyed.
So what planet are they flying at here?
Rylos. or
Rylos.
whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that's the same planet from the opening credits, which they're
think
showing
it is.
this planet, but then we see Alex on Earth, which, I mean, come on, let's talk editing, guys.
Sure. So a lot of the gravelly voiced alien, his lines got used in Techno a lot.
Oh,
So,
sure.
wait for see the visual attack formation. You know,
I mean,
so,
and
yeah.
it sounds so much like the original Cylons. Again, in
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was an insanely influential show, if only because all the people that worked in special effects basically worked on Battlestar
Oh, yeah.
Galactica.
Yeah. Ah, the battle stars. They're such cool ships, man. You know?
So this was like totally a Buck Rogers move. Like
Mhm.
Buck Rogers, like every single starfight with Buck Rogers, he, pulled some sort of football thing and got the spaceships to crash into each other.
Well, and they were shooting at each other as he flew by. It's like the circular firing squad. It's very weird, you know?
So it just
They
goes
have
to
terrible
show.
tactics outside the frontier.
Yeah, the universe has terrible pilots. Terrible.
Well, they needed
Inexcusably bad.
the communications array to be able to coordinate. Or that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's why they're resorting to recruiting kids out of trailer parks.
Yeah, right.
And here it is, the money shot. The whole reason you go see this movie. The thing I
Blossom.
remembered, Death Blossom mode.
Yeah.
Also, inspiring thousands of children and the people who made the spinny Yoda in the Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. This was insanely great. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, I was it was just great. You look past the dumb 9-volt battery connector. You look past all the dumb electronics and bad acting. You're like, God, at least they gave me Death
Blossom.
Yeah.
Death Blossom and simuloids. Those are kind of the two things for me from this movie that I just can't get enough of.
Simuloid should have been piloting that damn plane.
That's true.
Simuloid rights.
So, yeah, careful, man. We don't want to get demonetized.
So, this is the 125/40. This is the death scene, right? So this is
such a.
It's got to be one. This is a cheesy movie, but this is one of the best death scenes of any bad guy ever.
Don't hit play yet. Don't hit play.
I love the line. It's great.
Well,
yeah. So I was talking to Clampy earlier today, and I was like, "So you gonna show up for this thing tonight?" And he's like, "Oh no, I can't." But man, that movie. It's like, well, what are we gonna do? And he goes, "We'll." So yeah, it's like everyone. This is the line that like galvanized a generation for simulated rights.
My bigger problem here is I can't figure. So did this thing just explode in space? Is it huge? Is it smashing into the planet? The scale is very questionable here.
It bothered me the first time I saw it. It bothered me every day after.
Oh yeah.
We didn't get to see the scene. We got to see the.
We die.
You die.
Here it is.
Right.
We die.
Yeah. What did we do?
Boom. We
It was
explode.
the smallest moon ever.
Yeah. Barely able to collapse into a sphere under its own gravity?
Or that ship is just colossal and we just didn't realize it.
Well, it was big, but it wasn't that big. I mean, come on. We know how big the Death Blossom is. It's like 2.5 trailer parks.
I'm calling it a lobot.
2.5 trailers. So I love this like scene over like the assembled of Naboo all cheering for him from like 10 miles away. Of course, yeah.
And there's Centauri with the handkerchief that he keeps a face in.
Right, my face kerchief. I'm back. What a horribly cheesy reveal.
But at the same time, it's
kind of
Robert
great.
Preston.
I gotta watch it again.
Like, I'm back.
Yeah.
You miss me?
I gotta watch it again. I love it so much.
It's so bad.
Centauri!
Acting?
My recruiter. There's a stipend for me being enlisted.
You almost killed me.
So, this, I gotta be honest with you, I was a little bit upset that when Alex returned, he didn't exact revenge on his mother for making him do odd jobs, or go to that bank that refused to give him a loan, go all Death Blossom mode in the lobby, and see, are your loan officers still gonna hold back my college ambitions, you sons of bitches?
Boy, you can take the guy out of the trailer park, but
Yeah. But,
jeez, Rob. Okay, stop. He grabs him by the gun.
That's not suggestive at all.
Whoa.
That's not smart. I mean, you don't know what it could be like on a hair trigger. I mean, basically, Lewis could be a pile of burning fabric. This is a bad idea.
I don't know.
He's not
I
a smart kid.
you think he cares about safety? No. He grew up in a trailer park, Chris.
Well, what I said is, as it was coming down, the heat from the down blast would have like popped all the the motorhomes like popcorn. Like all the people inside would just turn into gas or steam and explode. But
He's got a pit boy too there.
oh yeah.
Alex, we can't hold off their radar any longer.
Yeah, okay. I can go, Mom.
So literally, if you go to this place in Google Maps, it's in like the inlet of a valley. It's like you already defeated the radar. It's going. That's not how radar works. And it's like, it's like I get you want to pull him away from his family and friends and his girlfriend, but come on, Greg. Shows. You know what it is? Grig has 6,000 Griglings. He doesn't value any of these people.
Yeah.
No.
You know? He doesn't understand. We don't procreate like the Griglings do. You know, we have to actually care about our children because we only have 2 of them. Or 1. Or 3.
So here, I was just glad that this movie inspired a whole generation of young ladies to give up their dreams and follow a man on his adventures into space.
Okay.
Because
To be clear, Rob, if Kristen walks in right now and I have to press the Kristen counter button and she says, I'm the last Starfighter, you have the chance to come with me to outer space and hang with aliens, there's the spaceship. You go, right?
Oh, I go every time, but I mean, she wasn't very enthused. As you remember, she was like, "No, I want to stay here."
Right.
It's like,
With my grandmother.
well, that's cool, baby. I'm never gonna see you again. Bye. And she's like, oh, "All right, I guess I'll go."
I mean, I hate to say it. What was her future? In some crappy trailer park until her grandparents die? I mean,
I don't know. She gets to go to the beach with her friends.
There were other guys who wanted to go to the makeout spot with her. Let's not forget that.
yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of anyone who grew up poor and then did something amazing, Chris, but it does happen. I assure you. So I mean, there is that. She does have her own autonomy, right?
Sure.
I like that it ends like on the neon star. I just think that's distinctive.
Yeah. That was nice.
Guys, we did it. Last Starfighter.
Yeah. We did.
I chose poorly with lobots because I still have some beverage left.
Very disappointed in you.
What other movies had haircuts like that? Is my question.
It's a great hairstyle. And they committed in this movie. A lot of folks committed.
There was a lot of prosthetic foreheads.
Yeah, and never once did the prosthetic forehead look like flesh. It always looked like rubber. And like had weird mounds and stuff. Like they tried real hard. So Rob, I know we disagree. I think Tron looks better than this. But more for philosophical reasons than for actual CGI reasons.
Oh. Well, when I determine how well something looks, philosophy doesn't go into it. It's just whether or not it looks good or not.
That's fair.
So.
That's fair. So whose turn is it next?
I think it's mine.
I think it's Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to figure out what. So I would have picked like Manhattan Project, but I just saw it last night with Laszlo. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Cool.
We got to stay in the early 80s.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. What? So this was 1983 or 84?
84, I think.
I think it was 85.
It's before Back to the Future.
Man.
Oh no, it was 84 because it was the year before Ender's Game came out.
Ah.
Oh, the book? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to find something fun for next week. But
The Search for Spock was out that year. I don't want to watch that.
That's my favorite, man. Maybe I'll take that when it's my next turn. That was my jam. I had that VHS.
It was so good. But you could pick that.
I will.
Pick something else.
Maybe I will. But we did skip
thing that you
Khan.
haven't seen. Khan.
You know, the battleship submarine tank chess movie.
You're going to have a hard time beating Brainstorm, I think.
Yeah.
Brainstorm was great.
That was a good movie.
Oh, Gordy.
I miss him.
It's like Children of the Corn was pretty good, but I'm not going to go there.
I don't know if we want to do horror.
I know my next one.
Oh, he's already prepared. It's going to be horror.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think I'm going to go with Manhattan Project unless I find something better. I'll
All
let
right.
you know in the next.
All right.
I haven't seen it since high school, so I'm all in.
Manhattan Project?
Sure.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, folks.
There's some good movies in 84.
There are some good movies in 1984.
Street, which you might remember as the competitor to Breakin'. So.
I don't know. I'd watch Breakin' right now, but...
Oh, my goodness. Top Secret came out in 1984.
No way.
Wow.
Do you know a little German? He's over there.
Little German? Yeah, he's over there.
I actually made Kathleen watch Top Secret a few months ago. She had never seen it. And I got to tell you, that is one of my all-time favorite movies. But I don't know if there's any way we could possibly put that on YouTube.
There's no way. She thought it was 120 volts. It was 220.
It took us 6 hours to wipe the smile off his face.
It took us 6 hours to wipe the smile. Oh, Electric Dreams was that year? Oh, wow.
All right.
Huh.
Let's say goodbye to Jake and Elon, guys. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Nate.
Great. I love this stuff.
Until next time.
Rob.
See you later.
This has been episode 482, I think, of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda. We'll see you probably later this week for some sort of news. Take care, be well.